What's going on, everybody? This is Al from PlaybookGamer.com, and today we're starting a brand new dynasty in NCAA Football 06. I've been talking about it for weeks, and the day has finally come. I'm going to pick an FCS school. We're going to put them into a little smaller conference, try to build them up, get invited to a bigger conference, and try to win a bunch of championships along the way. And as you can see here, I have selected the Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions. I picked them mainly for two reasons. One, their overall aesthetic is really cool. I love their logo, their uniforms, their field. We're going to look at all that towards the end of the video. And the other reason was geography. I don't think I've ever ran a dynasty in the state of Arkansas before, and it's been a long time since I've ran any dynasty in that area where Arkansas is at. Now, I've done an SMU dynasty a couple years back. That's kind of close. But what's interesting with Arkansas Pine Bluff is they're in between a couple of big conferences like the Big 12 and the SEC. So if we get lucky and get invited, who knows which one may be coming after us. So as you can see, I have selected the Sun Belt Conference to go into, and what I did was I replaced Louisiana Monroe. I had to select somebody, and I picked them. They're all kind of pretty bad in that conference except for a couple teams. Now, one of the reasons why I picked the Sun Belt was because of Arkansas State. They are in the Sun Belt. I figured that would be a nice, fun, in-state rivalry to have for several years until we move on. Now, last thing I want to show you here is I went ahead and updated my coach info. I got my name, my skin, my hair color and style, faces, my face, glasses, body, all that good stuff. It's the same look I've gone with for years because I always like to have that mullet. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. All right, let's head into the preseason. The first thing we want to look at in preseason is the coach options. Let's go down here from the main menu and we're going to select strategy. Now, I have already set this up, and as you can see, we are going to be running a spread offense. More importantly, we are going to be running the air raid offense. I got this playbook pretty much down to a T, pretty much the way Mike Leach likes to run that. And we're going to look at that playbook a little bit later on. So we're going to go back to coach options. And for the offensive type, I had to go with spread offense because we need a bunch of wide receivers out there. And look at the defense we're running. Brand new defense for me. I've never ran it before. The 3-3-5. I'm really excited about this. A lot of cool blitzing stuff I can do with this formation. It should help going up against spread offenses as well. So I'm really excited about both of them, both schemes. Now, you go to the CPU assistants. I got both recruiting and discipline turned off. But when you go down anything below this part right here, this is all simulation purposes. This playbook means nothing. I have my own playbook, which, again, we will look at a little bit later. We can look at the coach report card. Now, of course, there isn't anything to see here, but we can look at the contract info. Now, we have a 3-year contract, and they want us to at least have a winning season and receive a bowl bid at some point. Hopefully, we can do that by year 3. That'll be quite the challenge, as you're going to see with our roster and our schedule and such, but it's going to be a nice, fun challenge. Let's look at our custom schedule. Now, since we're in the Sun Belt, we got several games already locked in. But in terms of the non-conference schedule, what I'm going to do is keep it simple like I've done in the past. If I'm a one-star program, I'll probably just schedule one top 25 team. And as you can see, we're going to head to Georgia. The rest of that, I'm going to try to make it easier for me to try to win some ball games because we've got by far the worst roster in the FBS, and it's going to be that way for a few seasons. So this is the way I've always done it, and I like it that way. Now, starting off, we're going to head to San Jose State. Hopefully, we may have a chance there. I'm going to have New Mexico State come here. The reason why I picked them is because they, too, run the air raid offense. So we're going to see the ball flying all over the field that day. Georgia is my top 25 team for this season. Next year, if we do a little bit better, I may schedule 2. I may just do 1. It's just depending on where our star ranking is at. That's kind of like to base it off of. Then we're heading to our conference schedule. At Florida Atlantic, there's Arkansas State, which I'm excited about. We're going to head to Navy. It's been a while since I've taken on Navy. I was going to pick an academy school, and I haven't played them in quite a while. So that's going to be an interesting challenge going up against that option offense. I'm sure they will destroy us on defense, but we'll see what happens. Then we're heading back into conference play with Troy. We got an open date right in the middle of everything. And then we're going to head to North Texas. Florida International comes here at MTSU. Then we got Louisiana Lafayette. And at the end of the season, we're going to play one non-conference game, and that's going to be against Ball State. Maybe we have a chance there. Now, the reason why I selected Ball State there and not in this open date, because I wanted one open date in between the schedule due to possible injuries or whatnot. So I like that schedule. It should be a lot of fun. Hopefully we can squeeze out a game or two with a win. We'll see how that goes. But I think it's a nice, reasonable schedule. Let's look at redshirting players. This is the first time we're going to get to see our roster as a whole. Now, as you can tell, overall, we got 48 total players. That's not much of nothing. We got 18 seniors, so next year the turnover on the roster is going to be absolutely ridiculous. What's even worse is we don't have any young guys. We got 9 freshmen and sophomore, just an incredibly low number. So this roster, don't get used to it. It's going to be a complete flip here in a couple seasons if I can get enough bodies to even come in here. And as you can see by our best overall players, we got a wide receiver at 80 overall, a quarterback at 74. Thankfully, we got a quarterback and a wide receiver who can help our offense just at least a little bit, but they're not exactly buzz killers, you know. Then we got a good defensive tackle. Then it's just a huge drop-off, 68, then 59, and as you can imagine, very, very low. So let's go and look at some of our positions. Now, I've already had and done some redshirting, but as you can see here, there is our starting quarterback, Antonio Lovelady. I love that name. He could run a little bit too, is 70 speed, but our offense, I need him to throw the ball pretty much the entire time. What I've decided to do was I need bodies, and this guy's a 56 overall and a junior, so I'm going to go ahead and redshirt him. Hopefully Lovelady can stay healthy. Then you got a halfback. Halfback in our offense, I need them pretty much to catch the ball. They will run it from time to time depending on what coverage we see, but I could have redshirted this guy, for example. But I chose not to because he's a senior. I think that's going to help with recruiting, having one less guy there. More halfbacks should be wanting to come here, but we'll see how that goes. But as you can tell, we don't have much time to work with in halfback, yet these guys are going to be catching the ball all day. Fullback, thankfully, we don't have to worry about this position too much. I will replace somebody here, probably in the offseason, but our offense is going to be 4 wide pretty much the entire time, which, again, we'll look at a little bit later. Then you got wide receiver. I need a plenty of bodies here, and I only have 5. Of course, we got Jeremy Matthews, our big stud. Then the rest of them, just not a whole lot to work with. So hopefully none of these guys get injured. If not, if that does happen, we got a little backup contingency plan with one of our formations, which we'll look at a little bit later. Now, I'm not going to redshirt any of these guys because all 5 of these guys are going to be on the field at one point or another. Tight end is another position we don't have to worry too much about. Thankfully, I do not need to recruit this position hard at all. Now, if we come across a tight end that's got some speed and can catch the ball, I'll play him, no doubt. We can easily insert him into our scheme. It's just not a big need for us. I went ahead and redshirted this guy, Emmanuel Frazier, just because we could. He's a junior, and we just need an extra body there, so I didn't mind doing that. Now when it comes to tackles, again, we don't have a whole lot to work with. We got one tackle that's just okay, but it's a drop-off after that. I need a minimum of 4. So I would like to get another couple of guys in the offseason if we can. Same with guard. Look at this talent. Not much there. We only got 3 guys. You look at center, same thing. Nothing to work with there. And I can't redshirt this guy. We got to have at least 2 on the roster. Plus, he's a senior. I'd rather let those guys just go. And then you got defense now. When it comes to the 3-3-5, let's talk about the defensive ends. I pretty much need monster dudes, practically defensive tackles. I need guys who weigh like 280 pounds plus. Now, we always got 2 defensive ends on the field at all times, which means I need a minimum of 4 on the roster at all times because this particular position gets tired very easily throughout the course of a game. So we need a minimum of 4. Thankfully, we have 4, but none of these guys really fit what I need to do, but that's just part of the deal when you're taking over a bad program like this. As you can tell, not much to work with. Defensive tackle. Now, when it comes to the 3-3-5, I only need like a maximum of like 3 guys on the roster. But as you can tell, we already got 3 seniors. They're all going to be gone. We got 1 guy coming back, and it's this guy right here. And I'm going to redshirt him. I've done that for the sole purpose of at least we got 1 guy coming back. And hopefully we can bring in a couple more guys to boot. At least we got 1 really good player in this Roderick Green. Hopefully he could do well, even though he doesn't fit what we want, because I actually need him to be 376 pounds instead of 276, but we can make do. Outside linebackers, we got 2 guys on the field at all times, so I need a minimum of 4. The problem is we got no talent to work with, so all 4 of these guys are going to see the field, and they get tired just as easily as defensive ends. But I did get the redshirt 1 guy because we got 1 guy leaving, and at least we could bring an extra guy back somehow. Okay. Next up, we got middle linebacker. We only need like a minimum of like 3 at all times. I only have 2. One of them's a junior, the other one's a senior, so it's still going to be an uphill battle, mainly due to their overall not being very good. You got cornerback. This is one position I don't need a lot of bodies of, but I want to keep as many as we can, because you can see here, we got a bunch of upperclassmen, 2 seniors and 3 juniors. Now, I got 1 guy I'm going to redshirt, and since 2 corners are on the field at all times, and that I'm going to be running the 3-3-5 pretty much on every single down, I need a minimum of 4 active. So I'm going to go ahead and redshirt one of the juniors, and he'll come back. We'll try to replace these guys, but thankfully I don't really need 5. Now, what's interesting about the quarterback position is one of these guys is probably going to be playing some strong safety, and we're going to look at that here in a minute. But when it comes to free safety, I only really need 2 on the roster. The problem is they're 2 seniors, and both of them are terrible, so hopefully we could bring in a couple 1- or 2-star kids that could do a little bit better than what we see here. Then we got strong safety. Strong safety, we need a minimum of 2 on the field at all times, which means I like to have 4 on the roster. And we only got 2. They're both awful. So this is going to be a really tough go. But these guys are technically the most important position in the 3-3-5, maybe outside of defensive tackle. And very good chance that one of these corners, if not a couple of them, will be playing some strong safety for us just to get some bodies there. And we got 1 kicker who's awful, and we got 1 punter who is awful. So you got to see me redshirt a handful of guys just so we can get some bodies for next year. But just don't get too attached to this roster, because there will be a bit of a turnover. Let's check out our depth chart. It's as you would expect it to be, but we'll go through each position. There's Lovelady, starting quarterback, and our backup behind him. Halfback, Johnson and Moody technically are both going to play some, because one of our formations has 2 halfbacks doing some things at once. And then you got fullback. We don't have to worry about it. Wide receiver, what I done was I put Matthews at the 3 spot. I have a feeling that spot's going to get the ball quite a bit. I could be dead wrong, though. The offense is kind of built for all 5 positions to get the ball at any moment's notice. So it's going to be a challenge to get him the ball. I'm not going to force it. We may have to towards the end, but I don't want to do that, because this offense is built, and I think it works best when you just try to go to the open man, regardless of how bad that player may be. So I got him there, and then I got this player right here. One thing I probably could do is I think I'm going to leave him there as is, because I actually need some speed at the slot position. So we're going to leave that as is, and we'll see how that goes. Tight end, we don't have to worry about it. And what's interesting is look how big this tight end is. 6'4", 300 pounds, which I find interesting, because if you go to our offensive line, we got some pretty small dudes. Left tackle, 6'3", only 255 pounds. I almost could play Hayes there. I wonder, speaking of, and this I've never done this before, you look at the pass block and the run block. Hayes is actually better. So this just now occurred to me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put Hayes. We're going to replace him with Garrett, if I can find Garrett. He's down here somewhere. There he is. We're going to have Hayes be the backup, so I can have this guy. And I probably didn't have to do that, but we're going to go ahead. We're going to bring this guy up here. Let's see where he's at. If I can get to it. There we go. We're going to put Hayes at left tackle, and we're going to put McAdory. I hope I said that correctly. We're going to put him right there. So I got a tight end playing left tackle. He's technically our starter, mainly due to the size. So you go to left guard. I got a 290-pounder there over this guy. Look at him. 5'10", 210 pounds. That is tiny. I can't start the guy. At center, we got a humongous center, 6'4", 350 pounds. Too bad he's terrible. Then you got at right guard, I got a 300-pounder there. And at right tackle, I got a 6'3", 310-pounder there. So hopefully all of that made sense. It's going to be kind of weird. I'm going to set this up. Let me fix a couple things here. I think I like that. And this may change throughout the season, but I just find it interesting that I got a tight end going to be starting at left tackle for us. I've never done that before. Now let's talk about the defense. Now, when it comes to the 3-3-5 and the defensive ends, I need humongous individuals. I need practically defensive tackles, monster dudes. Now, we don't really have that, but it is as you would expect it to be. We got our defensive ends, our best guys starting at both positions. Defensive tackles the same way. Then a linebacker, nothing's really changed here. Both these guys are equally terrible. Middle linebackers, the same thing. Just nothing really out of the ordinary. Corner, I got my two best players there. Free safety, my best guy there. Strong safety, I put a couple of cornerbacks back here. Hopefully all that will situate itself out. What surprises me is with the 3-3-5, it only gives me 3 slots for strong safety. Hopefully these guys don't get tired too quickly. They probably will. And, of course, we got our kicker, we got our punter. And when it comes to kickoff return or punt return, I put our fastest wide receivers, excluding Matthews. Yes, I can have him be our starting kick returner or punt returner, but I have zero expectations in the rest of his teammates blocking for him. And I don't think it's worth him getting hurt over a dumb kickoff return. It's just not worth it. We just need some guys who can field it and move on to the next play. Okay, and when it comes to our captains, I didn't think about this, but we could go ahead and do an overall like this, and we can find a senior, like here's our defensive captain, the big defensive tackle, then our right tackle. Yes, we got this guy being a defense captain, which I'm perfectly fine with. Now I want to look at the program standards and see what we're dealing with here. We'll select that. And as you can tell, our NCAA team interest isn't terrible. It's below half. We got a lot of points to play with this season. I'm hoping a couple guys get in trouble just so we can lower this bar as much as we can, because I want to spend as much points as possible in recruiting, which makes complete sense. But I wanted you to check that out and see where our status is in terms of the program standards. Now let's go to Athlon Sports and check out just a little bit of everything. Preseason polls. Now, again, I'm using the 2005 roster. I like that roster set. And as you can imagine, USC, Tennessee, the typical teams are up there. And as you would imagine, we are dead last. D- overall. D-, D-. We are D- everywhere. You go to Heisman Watch, it's your typical dudes. You got Matt Leinart, AP, Reggie Bush, Vincent K. Young, and Ted Ginn Jr., all the staple guys there. You go to preseason All-Americans. I'm not going to go through any of these because we don't have anybody on there. But what I do want to look at is the All-Sunbelt first team. Do we have anybody there? No, we do not. Second team, do we have anybody here? Hey, yes, we do. We got a quarterback on the list, which is interesting. He's 6'1". No, outside linebacker. I'm sorry. 6'1", 232 pounds. Good for him. Let's see if he can live up to that. I don't know if he can or not. Conference outlook, as you would imagine, is pretty bad. We have ourselves at the very bottom of the list. Now, the Sun Belt, there are no divisions. It's all, everybody's in the same boat. And there are a total of 8 teams, which means everybody gets to play everybody every single season, which I kind of like, to be honest. I think 8's a perfect number. But we are dead last. Hopefully we can improve that throughout the Dynasty. Now, when it comes to recruiting, I think that's next. I think that's what we need to start talking about. Let's go here. And here's how I'm going to do recruiting. I've come up with a couple of simple rules just for myself. If you like them, that's great. If you don't, that's fine. What I'm going to do is any team that is in the group of 5 conferences, such as myself, can only recruit up to 3-star players. For me personally, a max is 3-star and below. So I have the go-ahead to go after 3 stars out of the gate. But I can't go after 4 and 5 stars like we did with Hawaii a couple of dynasties ago. Now, what I can do is, my goal is once I win a conference championship, I'm then allowed to get 1 4-star player every single season. Why I came up with that rule? If you go on 24/7 Sports, all your group of 5 schools at most have like 1 4-star kid. So I'm going to give myself 1 4-star allowance every single season. But until then, we got to win that conference title. But before that, nothing but 3 stars and below. Now, when it comes to recruiting pipelines and such, I'm going to keep it very local, mainly because it's cheaper. we're going to be very low on funds for the first few seasons, so I'm going to keep it very local. Just think any of the states surrounding Texas, and that's what we're going to go with. So the first thing I want to do is look at the team overview. We got a lot of stuff in orange. We need everything. We technically have, if I didn't bring anybody in next season, we'd only have 30 players. Hopefully we could bring in 25 guys to get up to 55. That's the goal, get to 55. And what we're going to do now is look at the current pipelines, and I'm going to tell you my thoughts on each one. Let's just go through each state. Typical, we got Arkansas as a pipeline. That is our state, and we're going to hit that as heavy as we possibly can. Unfortunately, Arkansas doesn't produce a lot of talent. We got a total of, what, 6 guys here? And we're going to check out that list here in a little bit. Let's go and look at some other pipelines. Here we have California. This will not be a pipeline going forward. It just doesn't make sense for me to have California as a pipeline. Even if I kept it as one, it's still going to cost me a whole lot of points just to recruit those guys. It's just not worth it to me. I'd rather pick another pipeline that's really close to me just so we can save on some money, quote unquote. So I'm not going to pay attention to California. I'm not going to recruit it. Let's keep going. I'm sure we have a few other pipelines. I can see Texas maybe being one. Here's one that we're definitely going to keep. Louisiana, that's the state right below us. And as you can tell, Louisiana has a ton of talent. We're going to make Louisiana a priority. Let's keep going. One I would like to turn into, and it already is one, Missouri. We're going to keep this as a pipeline. That is the state right up above us. And it doesn't produce a ton of talent, but it's already a pipeline, so I want to take advantage of that. Okay, let's keep going. I think the only one we may have left, maybe Texas. I may want to try to turn a couple other states into pipelines. I would love to turn Tennessee into pipeline. That's right beside us, but we'll see if we can get around to that. But Texas is a pipeline, so Louisiana, Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, that's what I really need to focus on. I don't need 18 different pipelines when 4 will probably do, especially when 2 of them have a ton of talent. Texas is really close to us, so it just makes sense to keep that as a pipeline. And we can check the rest of these states just to make sure I'm not missing anything, and we are not. So what I'm going to do for preseason recruiting is pretty much what I've done the last several seasons, especially all through Duke and such, is I'm going to, of course, I'm going to assign 12 scholarships, but I'm only going to really go after like 3 guys because we're not going to win a lot of ball games, and we really need to pour on the points on just a handful of guys. So let's go after the 12 guys that at least fit what we want to do. Now, as you can see here, we need everything. It says we technically don't need a quarterback, but if we could find one, that would be great. Tight end, I'm not going to bother. Guard, I probably may go after one. We'll see. Now, we're going to throw the ball a ton, which means I probably don't need to recruit quarterbacks and wide receivers too hard. A lot of them will want to come to our program just because of the offense in general. But if we come across a quarterback that kind of fits what we're looking for, I don't mind going after him. So let's start off with our first pipeline, which is our own state. Now, again, 3-star and below. So let's go and see what we got. We got 3 guys here. We got a quarterback, we got a corner, and we got a right tackle. I don't mind going after at least one tackle. What I would like to do is really spread the wealth here. I'd like to try to recruit 1 tackle, 1 center, 1 defensive lineman, 1 linebacker, and so on and so forth, instead of going after 4 tackles, if that makes sense. So I want to at least go after these 2 guys. Corner, I'm okay with. He doesn't fit what I'm looking for. He's a little too short. And a quarterback, he looks like he's a balanced quarterback. We'll see if he can throw the ball or not. I'd love to have an in-state quarterback to base the program around. When it comes to a right tackle, I need somebody who's pretty smart, who can pass block pretty well, and at a B awareness and where we're located currently as a 1-star program, I'm perfectly fine with that for now. So that is it for Arkansas. Pretty short and simple. Now, the next thing we're going to do is go all the way over to Louisiana. Now we're going to go through each particular position because they just got a bunch of players here. Here's a pocket passer. I may want to look at him, but we need to look at other positions first. Halfback. I need to find a little quick guy who can catch. The problem is you can't see if anybody can catch the ball or not, but we can find somebody who's at least quick. For example, here's a 3-star kid, J.R. Moore, runs a 4.33. Decent chance he may be able to catch the ball, but we don't know until we recruit him. Same with this kid, 4.35. Really fast, a little bit smarter too. We could take a chance on either one. I don't think it really matters which one we go after. This guy's a little bit quicker, but not as smart. Let's go after this little smarter player. How about that? Fullback, we don't have to worry. Wide receiver, here's a 3-star kid. When it comes to wide receivers in this offense, I need speed and guys who can catch. If they're tall, that's really cool too. But this guy runs a 4.39, so I definitely want to take a chance on him. He could definitely be an ideal slot receiver for me. Let's go to tight end. We don't have to worry about that. We don't need any of it. We're already looking at 1 tackle. I'm done with that. Guard, I wouldn't mind finding somebody here. These 2 guys are 4-stars, so we can keep going. Defensive end, nobody there. Let's see. Outside linebacker, 4 stars. Can't do that. Middle linebacker, we got a couple different guys. Both of them look exactly the same. Doesn't matter. I mean, they both got the same height, same everything. Well, this guy's got a little bit taller. I like Pierre Russell only because he's got a cooler name, so let's just go with that. Corner, I'm not overly worried about that. We've already going after one guy anyways, so let's keep going. Strong safety. We need help here in the worst way. Again, this is the most important position on defense, at least in my opinion. And we need guys who can do a little bit of everything. Speed, who can tackle, who can go back in coverage. Just a very important position. What I may do is actually go after both of these guys because we got 2 on the field at all times. So now we're down to 5 spots left. I'm going to go to Texas next. And then we're going to look at Missouri, and then we will figure out what to do if we got any spots left. So let me go here. Let's go to Texas. Quarterback, we're already looking at 1 guy, so I'm okay with not looking at one of these guys. That's fine. Halfback, we're already looking at 1. Like this kid right here may fit the bill, but again, we don't know if he can catch or not. Let's keep going, and we're already looking at 1 wide receiver. I may need to go and find another one. Like this kid right here is a perfect example. 6'2", 175. I like his height, but I love his speed even more. So let's take a chance on him. Let's go. Am I going after a guard? I need to find 1 guard. I want somebody who, probably this guy right here fits the bill. Johnny Wynn. I like his smarts, but I love his size because we will run the ball at least a little bit. Center, we probably need to get somebody. As you can tell, we are completely out of them. Here's a 3-star kid. Let's just go ahead and take a chance on him. Now we're down to 2 spots. Defensive tackle, this guy's too small. Defensive end, sorry. Now we got defensive tackle. If we can find somebody like this guy fits the bill. He's heavy. That's what I want to see right there. So I'm going to put 1 on him. And the rest of these, I probably need to look at some Missouri kids. So let's go corner. We're not even going after that corner, are we? I thought we was going after that corner from Arkansas. Apparently not. Do we got anybody here, free safety? Here's a 4-star kid. Let's go to Missouri. Let's see what they got. They may not have a whole lot. Let's go with a all. There we go. Let's go down to their 3-star kids. Here's a corner, 5'11", doesn't fit what I want. Fullback, I'm not going to bother. And we're already going after 1 center, so we don't have to worry about that. Here's a middle linebacker. We're already going after 1 of those. Here's a left tackle. We're already going after 1 of those. So I'm actually okay with not going after any of these guys. So what I'm going to do is go back to Texas, and we're going to fill that other spot. And let's go back to these one more time. I can go after another quarterback. We're going after 2 receivers. I would like to find an outside linebacker or maybe a free safety, but I don't think none of those guys really fit. Like, here's outside linebacker. Okay, we can pick one of these guys. We need somebody who's got some size but can at least run a little bit. Now, well, here's a 4.78. That's a little too slow for my liking. These guys are going to be out in coverage, defending people. 4.69 is a little too slow for me as well. So I'm honestly not excited about any of those guys. And I'm okay being picky about what I'm looking for. And they don't have anybody at free safety except a 4-star kid, which we can't go after. So what I may end up doing, let's go back. Let me look here. The strong safety, we already got a couple of those guys. Let's see if we can fill that one more spot. The defensive end, he's too small. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. We got 1 wide receiver. I may go after another halfback. That's probably a good decision. Let's go after this T.J. Rucker. I think he may have a chance. I like his awareness. You just never know. He's nowhere near. Yeah, he's actually stronger than the other guy, at least in terms of squat. Let's just take a chance on him. 6 feet 165, 5'10", 175. 4.39, 4.41. There's not a whole lot of difference. Let's go with a guy who's a little bit smarter. Okay, that is it for our 12 scholarships. Let's go ahead and simulate that first week, and let's distribute some points. Here is our recruiting board. The first thing I always like to do is see if we have anybody with a positive pitch. Those are the guys we really want to hone in on. Here we got one guy, Chris Roberson or Robertson, however you want to say that. The kid out of Louisiana. We got a positive pitch. Let's go ahead and at least put 25 on him for now. The most I'm going to go after is 4 guys. So let's keep going. See if we can find another positive pitch anywhere. Here's a negative pitch. We're not going to go after him. It's going to be a tough time just trying to win ball games to begin with. That may be the only guy we see, and that is it in terms of the positive pitch. So now we can decide who we want to go after. We can start at the very top. Now, I'm not overly worried about where we're located. We're going to dump so many points into these kids that we're going to move up over time. Even if we lose a game or two, at least I think that's what's going to happen. But this kid, I like what I'm saying just because he really fits what we're looking for in a defensive tackle. But let's just keep going first. TJ Rucker, I need somebody who's got decent hands. B is okay. Let's look at that other halfback, and we could maybe pick one of them here in a minute. Tackle, this guy fits kind of what I want to do, so I may put some points on him. Wide receiver, we're at the very bottom of the list for this kid, but he's the one with a positive pitch. We're definitely going to go after him. Let's look at this quarterback, Brian Ward, the local kid out of Warren, Arkansas. Every bit of that looks good to me. I wish his accuracy was a little bit better, but I can't afford to be picky at the moment. He fits what we want to do, and he can run at least kind of a bit. I think he runs I think that equates to maybe 72 speed, maybe. I'm not quite sure about that, but I kind of like what I see here, and we're at the top of his list. Let's go look at the other quarterback first. Now, we got a guard. I would love to go after him. He may be one of the 3 or 4 guys we go after. Here we go. Alex Johnson, halfback. We're pretty high on his list already, which gives us a bit of a boost. And he's got A-minus hands, which equates to like 62 for a halfback, but that's good enough. And he's fast. Now, is there any other halfbacks we went after? I don't think so, but we're going to go ahead and put 25 on him. We need skill players. We need playmakers out there. So here are 2 guys we can hopefully get. Let's go to the next guy. We got a center. He fits what we're looking for, so there's a chance there. Middle linebacker. He's got the speed. I like his size. Every bit of that's good. We just need to figure out if we want him to be one of our final 4. Wide receiver. Here's another kid I may go after. But we'll just see about that. B-plus hands is just okay. Then he got strong safety, and we got 2 strong safeties, and that's it. So let's look at the top one. Bobby Lewis, right at the top of his list, 441 C+. 448 C+. So it just kind of depends on which one you want. 340, 495 on the strength and, the squat and bench. This guy's 360, 555. So he's a little bit slower, but much bigger. So it just kind of depends on what these safeties are doing. My safeties, they're going to be blitzing. They're going to be defending slot receivers and tight ends. They're going to be out in coverage. They're going to be doing a little bit of everything. I wouldn't mind going after both of these guys, to be honest, but I feel like I only need to go after one. So let's just go ahead and pick this guy. I'm okay with, let me look at this again. He's the weaker one, but he's a little bit faster. That's just a tough go. Just going to be really tough, but we already got a big boost for him already, so I don't mind. Let's just go after him. I'm okay with that. I need more size at linebacker and defensive line as opposed to strong safety. So I'm okay with getting some speed here because these guys are going to be running around all over the place. So we got 25 there. So now we can put those points somewhere else, but I want to go after this quarterback. I think it's going to be hard to find a quarterback that kind of fits what we're looking for unless we do really well. Just because we throw the ball all over the field doesn't mean we're going to attract a bunch of players. You actually need to produce. You need to put a bunch of good stats up. And I don't know if we're going to be able to do that this year. So I'm going to take a chance and load up here. I think it's in our best interest to do so. We need as much skilled players and talent on offense as possible because I can control the game better on offense than I can with defense. We can still run a ton of clock by throwing the ball all over the field. And having some talent, a wide receiver, quarterback, and halfback just makes sense. So our 4th spot, we can go after this strong safety. So I think we're in a good shape here. 4 is the absolute max we'll go. And if we continue to get hurt and a couple other of these guys, just because we're not playing well, we can drop these points and put them in a couple other spots. So those are the 4 guys we're going after. I'm really excited about all 4. Maybe we can get at least a couple. Now let's head out to the field and look at some things. The first thing we're going to look at is the playbook. Now, the Mike Leach air raid, which is pretty much what I've created, comes down to basically just 3 formations. We got gun spread, gun trips, and gun 2-back slot. We don't have other variations of trips and spreads, so just using these 2 is just enough for me. And we got a 2 halfback set. Now, let's talk about that for a minute. You notice our starting halfback is number 37. He's to the right side of the halfback. Well, you go to gun 2-back slot, I fixed it to where our number 1 halfback is still on the right side, just for consistency's sake. And we got our number 2 halfback over here. That's with the playbook editor. And speaking of, let's look at some of the plays. Again, this is air raid pretty much to a T. We'll start off with gun spread. We got all curl, then we got F dive and Y stick. I've changed some names. I've moved a bunch of things around. So this is going to be all brand new to everybody except for maybe like 2 plays. So a lot of this is air raid staple stuff. Then you got mesh. There's mesh in the flesh. Then you got F off tackle. We got some Y corner. Then you got shallow. You got F direct. And you got Y cross. Then you got Y sail. Then you got QB choice. Then you got H wheel. Then you got fade out, speed option, and verts. Now when it comes to verts, this doesn't look like the verts you would see in real life. Verts in real life is pretty much 4 verticals. The problem is that doesn't work too well in this game. So what I've done was pick 4 routes that have vertical stems that all look the same until they start breaking, doing different things. So this kind of looks like deep attack out of gun spread, but I added a comeback route for a nice deep man beater. I got a little dig route right here just so he can distract some defenders against zone and do well against man. And, of course, we got the go post combo with a swing right there. So this could be like a really nice 3rd and long play for me. Then you got a couple screens. We got L screen. We got F screen. So these are a couple new ones that you've seen this one before. Then you got smash. Just to work off either hash. Instead of flag routes, I went with deep outs. And you notice that a lot of these plays can work off either hash, but quite a few of them are going to be one or the other. I put pretty much all of my left hash plays on the left side and all my right hash plays on the right side. That's where I can quickly pick a play and just move on to the next step. And I pretty much have all my runs up the middle. So I kind of have some reason for doing a lot of this, if that makes sense. But for example, Y cross, technically I could work out that off either hash. You got a little flat route over here, you can work it off the left, or you got a swing, you can work it off the right. So every now and then I can run Y cross on either side. Now let's go to gun trips. It's the exact same plays. That's the way the air raid guys do it. They have their handful of concepts, but they run them out of different formations, and that's what we're going to do here. Look, all curl. Then you got H stick. It's still the same principle with F dive. Then you got mesh, F off tackle, Y corner. Then you got shallow. Technically, this is called drive, but I kept it as shallow to keep it consistent. You got QB choice. You got Y cross. Then you got Y sail, speed option. You got H wheel, fade out. All this looks familiar. Then you got birds with QB off tackle, F screen, smash, and Y screen. Now, notice a couple things here, how I have this set up. This looks kind of weird from the onset, but this trips formation is really going to be designed off motioning this H receiver over to the left, and then all of a sudden you got gun spread. So you'll notice, for example, like mesh just looks kind of goofy, this little mesh or little drag route. Well, this play is designed to motion him over. Then you got basic mesh. So you're going to see a little bit of motion to go with it, but a lot of it's passing based. Normally when you see me motion, it's very running oriented. Not in this offense. We're going to do quite a bit of motion out of this formation. But again, it's the same plays over and over again just to keep it consistent. I don't need 40 different concepts. Give me about 12 to 15 to 18, and I'm good to go. Now let's talk about gun 2-back slot. This is when I got a couple decent halfbacks to work with, and I can move that guy down. For example, we go to gun 2-back slot. Look at that. All curl, H dive, Y stick. The same plays over and over again. Mesh, H direct, Y corner, shallow, QB draw. You got Y cross, Y sail, speed option, H wheel, fade out. I kept a couple of these triple option plays in there, mainly because the playbook editor, it gets kind of iffy when you're trying to turn an option play into a standard run. But a play like this could be kind of handy down the road. Then you got, there it is, 4 verts. Then you got smash, triple option, and you got a screenplay in here. Now notice what I'm doing here. Look at this. This looks really goofy, right? Not when you compare it to gun trips. I can motion him down to the left, and what do you got? Gun spread. No different than, for example, let's pick another one, shallow. That little dig rat looks goofy as is, but when you motion him over to the left slot, what do you got? True shallow. I got a couple other ones like that, if I'm not mistaken. Birch is the same way. I got the little dig there. Look at this fade out. I got a little flat route. Looks kind of goofy right there, but I can motion him to the slot. And then he got true fade out. So just a lot of really cool things here from this playbook, and that's kind of it. The rest of the formations I will never use. I got a couple of these formations in case I can't get into the end zone goal line wise, so I got a couple of these right there, but the rest of these you'll never see me use. I don't need them. The entire offense goes through spread, trips, and gun two-back slot. So now let's go ahead and pick a play and look at a couple different things. Let's just go to the Y stick, and let's go ahead and run one play, and we're going to look at something really quick. Let's go to the out route. It didn't look good. So let's talk about the aesthetic of everything. Let's look at these uniforms. How about these bad boys? Incredible. I love the black and yellow look. I think it looks really slick. Kudos to whoever made these. Now, I am using version 10 of the NCAA Next texture. That's all I'm using. It's just the texture folder. But I think this looks really good. You look at the away uniform, and this looks really great. I love the black and yellow. I don't think I've ever done a Dynasty with a team that has a black and yellow combo. Everybody, that looks awesome. Now, they don't have any alternate uniforms. Maybe in time, some of those may be created, but I just love their default home and away, and I think you will too. Now, you look at their midfield logo. Really cool looking. Look at their end zones. Really cool. UAPB, yellow and the black. And then on the other side, it's alternate colors, a black and the yellow. So I think this whole aesthetic looks incredible. You notice this is the default FCS stadium, which I'm perfectly fine with. But I just think every bit of this looks great. This is the main reason why I picked them. I just think it all looks really cool. And if you're going to be running a Dynasty for years on end, you might as well pick a team that actually looks good, because you're going to be staring at them a lot. So I hope you are excited for the Dynasty. I know I am. I can't wait to play San Jose State, which is our next game. It should be a whole lot of fun. I love all the newness to everything. It's just going to be a whole lot of fun. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.